Hello and good evening to everyone. Today I am Deepjoy along with Monjita and we are from National Institute of Technology Silchar. We are representing the National Institute of Technology Model United Nation and we would be discussing upon an agenda which I would like my friend Monjita to begin. Monjita, can you start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Deepjoy, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I am Monjita Bora, and I'm accompanied by Deepjoy today. We're both engineering undergrads from NIT Silchar, and today we are here to be addressing a very critical issue, the issue of climate change and how it's affecting Indian farmers, which comes under SDG 13 climate action. Now, climate in general, it has this very intrinsic property of changing. However, what we have seen that in the recent years, there has been a perceptible change accounting for immediate action. Since the 19th century, the Earth's average temperature has increased drastically. It has risen over 1.2 degrees Celsius. NASA analysis shows that 2020 was one of the warmest years on record. The World Meteorological Organization calls it the second hottest. So we're having all these shifting weather patterns. We are having these shifting weather patterns which are threatening food production. It is leading to a rise in sea levels that has caused catastrophic floods. Climate change, we can see, it's a global and it's an unprecedented phenomenon, and it's really, really scary. Now, India, being a tropical country, is facing its impact through droughts, floods, cyclones, heat waves. We have hailstorms and coastal salinity. The largely affected sector, which is heavily affected, is the agriculture sector, and the largely affected population being the Indian farmers. And this poses a major threat to our country in reaching our sustainable development goals, because nearly 70% of the Indian population is directly or indirectly associated with the agriculture and its subsectors. And major sustainable development goals are expected to be met from this sector. So, passing this on to you, Deepjoy, what do you think about the global impact that climate change is having, and how far are we from achieving our goals?
So I completely agree with you, Monjita. Whatever you have mentioned, yes, it's true, and I think globally it has had a vast impact. Climate has really had a great impact on agricultural sector globally. So climate change has managed to devastate the farming sector by changing the patterns of rainfall throughout the world. Also,
Hmm.
interconnected systems pose a greater risk, considering the fact that deteriorating infrastructure, land use changes, and population growth also have played a major role with the
True.
context of our discussion. Today,
Yeah.
the farming sector employs at an average of almost 23% of the world's average population around the globe. And also, if we consider a World Bank's report on climate change, it said that the climate change could cut crop yields, especially in the world's most food insecure regions.
Hmm.
Agriculture, forestry, and land use change are responsible for about 25% of the greenhouse gases emissions. Although technological advancement has been phenomenal in this century, probably not enough to mitigate the growing concerns of climate change that exists amongst the people of the world. So,
True.
Monjita, what do you think are the economic effects that climate change has posed on farming sector within our country?
Yes, Deepja, climate change, it's not just affecting the environment around us, it's playing a vital role it's affecting the entire world around us in different ways. And in fact, when we talk about our country, India, especially a country like ours, which is a developing nation, it falls under those countries that are very vulnerable to climate change. We already have an ecological and a sub-economic systems that's already under so much pressure due to the rapid urbanization and industrialization and the economic development, and also given the huge population and poverty. And in addition to that, we have to face now huge stress due to climate change. So, firstly, there are vast implications on the production of field crops and horticulture. According to a World Bank report, it has stated that by mid 21st century, 30% of the decrease in crop yields is expected in South Asian countries, and this is very scary because North Indian states will be highly susceptible because of the erratic changes in rainfall and temperature. In addition to that, climate changes which are driven by the greenhouse gases, they affect the yield and productivity of crops, vegetable crops, or fruit trees from different region to different region. And especially in our country like India, we have tropical crops like banana production. It gets largely affected. India being the world's largest cultivator and consumer of the crop. Also, there are drastic changes in climate which alters the pathogens that eventually affects the growth and yield of crops severely, and also could lead to an increase in pest and insect population, which in turn affects the overall productivity. And the sad part is that there are poor farmers, the poorer farmers in regions with weaker infrastructure and less irrigation that are most affected, whereas they're not even the greatest contributors to the problem. So, so this is how it's affecting the production of fields and crops. In addition to that, we also have livestock, poultry, fishery. All these sectors are also greatly affected. In 2019, Maharashtra fisheries, they witnessed a nearly half decline in catch. So, all these combined, they lead, the third reason that I would like to state, it's the economic, which is more of a consequence of the first two implications. The economic losses from natural disasters that's rising globally as well as locally, and these impacts are very pronounced in the agriculture sector in the recent past. The government of India's economic survey that was held in 2018, it estimated that the annual loss of about a 10 billion US dollars was due to the adverse effects of climate change. However, last year we saw that between the period of April to June, when the economy contracted, the agriculture sector, however, posted a growth. But this silver lining, it could fast fade off as climate change, it continues to haunt the sector. And this was the first time, in 2020, that RBI has taken note of the climate change in its annual report. It has stated that the country is witnessing more intense droughts, downward shift in average rainfall, as well as we having very frequent cyclones, right? In 2019 alone, 8 cyclones with very sharp volatility in rainfall, they had led to an increase in the damaged crop area. Last year we had the super cyclone Amphan. There was a locust attack. So, all these things, they're implying the seriousness of the issue, the immediacy of the issue that needs to be taken into account. Otherwise, it could cost us a major portion of the GDP on countering its adverse impacts. But, in addition to these, there are also social implications too, right, Deepjoy? So, right, Deepjoy. So, what do you say about how is climate change impacting the society? What social implications is it having on the Indian population?
So it's very difficult for a farmer, to adjust with climatic change, because there are different practices that go on during the drought times and different practices that they have to adapt during the monsoon times. So the farmers are faced with variety of decisions. So of which the decisions include, adapting to the strategies such as sowing multiple crops in a single season to increase in for increasing the productivity. Then also planting drought-resistant crops that can withstand periods of water scarcity, and many more such hurdles, which actually impacts their social and mental well-being. A central government report stated that since 2013, every year more than 12,000 farmers die. And out of these 12,000 farmers each year that die, 88% of them belong from 7 states. So these 7 states are Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. And the other factors which include and are the reason of these suicides are, so the cost of agricultural tools, then the cost of seeds and chemicals, and the burden of the loans that the farmers have there on the shoulder. So it's an immediate need of the hour that the government takes a step to tackle this current crisis and take decisions upon it. I believe, Monjita, you'd be in agreement with me on this.
Yeah,
so also, Monjita, I would like to share with us, how do you think that the government has acted globally so that we can combat the current crisis?
Yes, Deepjoy, as we've talked about all the impacts and the different ways how it's impacting our lifestyle. The government has also done a lot, actually. When we talk about climate action, India has been a very key player globally. And back in 2019, when we had the United Nations Climate Action Summit, where the UN Secretary General had stated, that this is not a climate talk summit or a climate negotiation summit, because we've already talked enough, and you can't negotiate with nature. This is a climate action summit. And there, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also emphasized on the necessity of immediate action. He emphasized the country's renewable energy and solar conservation goals. He promoted the International Solar Alliance and talked about the country's plans to ban single-use plastics, yet to be met. Also, on a symbolic gesture, our country, as a symbolic gesture towards our fight towards climate change, our country has also contributed a Gandhi Solar Park installed on the roofs of the UN headquarters. So, understanding how crucial India's commitment is towards moving renewable energy, we have to understand that a large part of India's energy, it still comes from coal, and renewables, they make a very small percentage. Even a report by the International Energy Agency, it has stated that India comes only second to China in terms of coal production and had been the largest importer of coal before 2020. So, it's very crucial. Our country's commitment on investing, $100 billion USD in clean energy over the next 5 years, it's extremely significant because it plays a very important role. And our country currently is very heavily dependent on, the thermal plants. Now, talking about what we have done over the past 5 years, it has been 5 years since the Paris Climate Change Agreement, and it's very happy to know that India is one of the few developing countries which is not only succeeding in meeting its goals, but it's in fact aspiring to do more. In fact, according to again a climate transparency report, India is the only G20 nation which has met its commitment. And which is absolutely fantastic to know, because under the Paris Agreement, India had 3 targets. It had targets of cutting its emissions to about 33 to 35% by 2030 emission intensity. Then cutting down, increasing on the renewable energy basket by 6% by 2030, and also creating additional carbon sinks. And we're doing pretty good in terms of the first 2 targets of emission intensity and increasing the renewables. So, and we're very good, we're very well in line for achieving a 2-degree compliant world, that is ensuring the global warming is maintained at less than 2 degrees. Also, the Ministry of, in our country, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Climate Change, structured for UNFCCC, continues to play a crucial role in planning, coordinating, controlling the execution of India's environmental and forestry programs and policies. So it's good news. It's good to know that we're playing a very key role, and we're also being able to achieve our goals, and we're setting a benchmark, right, Deepjoy? But it's also important that these commitments are met, and it's also important to understand what domestically the government has done. So, like Deepjoy, what views do you have on the domestic measures of the government, and all the programs and policies that have been implemented within the country to tackle impacts of climate change?
Yeah, Monjita, like you have mentioned how globally the government of India has worked to take measures on the current crisis scenario. But it's not only that, the government has also worked in its home itself so that it can help the farmers within the country to fight or to combat the situation. So there are many initiatives that has been taken by the government of India, but I'd like to mention few key initiatives which were taken. So the first is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So this scheme was introduced in order to reduce the agricultural distress and farmers' welfare without affecting substantial hikes in the minimum support price on agricultural producers during monsoon fluctuations or any other natural calamity, by providing full insured amount to the farmers on crop losses. And the second initiative was the National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. This mission was structured under the National Action Plan on Climate Change. It aimed to synergize resource conservation, enhancing or restoring the soil fertility, thereby improving productivity with focus on soil health management, integrating farming system, integrated animal component, and water use efficiency, specifically in drylands and rain-fed agricultural areas. Also, a very vital step that was taken by the government in 2019. So that was the two ministry, like the agricultural and the rural development ministries, that were those were aggregated. So by which what happened, this step again proved to be a good step, and because it helped to adapt with the technologies which as of now is considering the community driven approach towards agriculture. So Monjita, what do you think that how state governments might have acted regarding this crisis?
Yes, Deepjoy, as much as the central government has done, the state governments have also actively taken part, in the fight against climate change. And the government of Maharashtra, it targeted to stabilize the income of rain-fed and dryland farmers under the SAPCC, the State Action Plan on Climate Change. And it had covered a major areas such as farm mechanization, the protected cultivation, creation of irrigation, potential processing, and marketing, and human resource development as well. Further, Maharashtra has took the lead scale to bring the stability of agricultural systems in the state. Similarly, we have the government of Karnataka, which has initiated state rain-fed farming missions for adoption of large rain-fed tracts of the state for drought conditions. The government of Andhra Pradesh initiated Niru Chittu for greening the state. The mission Kakadia in Telangana showed positive impacts of water conservation, soil health, and enhanced greening. There was large-scale farm ponds in the state of Rajasthan as well, which has contributed to critical irrigation during mid-season droughts. Similarly, various other states, they have initiated climate adaptation programs covering the agriculture sector and its different subsectors. So, we see that a lot has been done. A lot has been done globally. A lot has been done at by the central government, by the state governments. But the question here is how have these been fruitful? What do you think about the effect that these policies have had, Deepjoy? How far have they been?
Yeah, I get your point, Manjita. So not only the state government and central government have taken steps to combat the situation, but also these steps which are taken by the government has also shown a fruitful result, which now I'd like to show. If I take in consideration the nature of the policies that were taken by the government and segregate them and try to present them. So it comes out as, in this form. So if we look into the fertilizer policies that were taken by the government, so India has grown positively by enhancing crop production and productivity. The additional food grain production of 13.66 metric ton using fertilizers avoided the conversion of 11.48 million hectares of forest land to cropland, thereby reducing 2013 metric ton of greenhouse gas emissions, which I feel is a huge number. And
that is a huge number.
Yeah. And the second is the agroforestry policies. So area under agroforestry is on an upward trend toward more carbon fixation and reduced greenhouse gases emissions. Inclusion of pricing policy would also is contributing to stability of livelihoods of agroforestry farmers of India besides environmental services. Also, initiatives in multi-ministerial propositions are playing a huge role. As I mentioned, how the agricultural and rural ministry was submerged for the community-driven approach. So these are few of the approaches which I think the policies, although they might have some loopholes, but yes, they have worked a lot to give us results from it. So Manjita, how far do you think that these initiatives which we discussed are have a future scope to stand, or how fruitful they have been in the nature?
Yeah, yes, Deepjoy. The results are definitely appealing. You can see the commendable work is being done, and the results are very appealing. But the bigger question that comes is that is this enough? Will this save us from the impact of climate change? But unfortunately, that is not the case, because climate change, it's a very globally interconnected, a globally linked problem. In fact, when we talk about our total contribution to the problem of emissions, it's actually very minor. We as a country, we're contributing very little compared to the major polluters who really need to be walking the talk here. Yes, emissions have reduced in the past months because of the pandemic, but this is very temporary. So what is essential, the need of the hour, is global cooperation and more aggressive measures that need to be met in order to address this global crisis. We are doing a bit. We're definitely doing a bit. But what's important is that every country comes forward and does their bit. Only then can this global problem be addressed. And now with the return of the United States of America to the Paris Climate Change Agreement comes greater hope for achieving the global goals. It comes greater hope for global cooperation. So, according to me, individual contribution is great. There are several domestic challenges which are yet to be met, but this contribution should come from all the stakeholders, like the developed countries specifically. So individual contribution coupled with this, global cooperation is the need of the hour. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to meet our objectives. Difficult, in fact, it'll almost be impossible to meet our targets. And what else? What else do you suggest, Deepjoy? What else can be done to meet our climate goals?
So actually, as previously I mentioned, like yes, government has taken initiatives, but I feel if we submerge
Yeah,
those
true.
initiatives, few of the recommendations which I have, then it would be very impactful at this present scenario. So the first suggestion which I would like to give is the impacts of several national and state level climate action programs and policies by academic institutions should be taken up, and needs-based changes should be done after the studies are done based on those initiatives which are taken. Also, a commitment to achieve the goal of sustainable agriculture and to create an eco-friendly environment without our community must be strengthened by the adaptation strategies. Large-scale climate awareness is a must and the need of the hour and should be taken forward by multi-ministerial platforms. So, Monjita, in the conclusion, what I feel is global climate change, its cause and impacts are one of the most emerging issues in science and technology domain at current scenario.
Yes.
As previously mentioned by you, that India, a tropical country, is facing its impacts via many natural calamities, which ultimately is a threat to the sustainable development. Also, a majority of Indian population is directly or indirectly associated with the agriculture sectors and the subsectors. Most of our goals of SDGs are to be met from this sector itself. But this would happen only if the assessments of the impacts and the comprehensive understanding of the benefits of adaptation options are like over unpredictable situations could be what they could prove what in climate change. Although extreme temperature and its erratic event disrupt the activities of all the existing lives on the planet by means of severe loss and damage, but the farmers of have been quite able to sustain climate change by the help of Indian government. Yet I feel more light has to be thrown in this area to sustain growth and ultimate medium to life. So with this, myself, Deepjoy and Monjita, we would like to conclude on the discussion on this agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.